Hello everyone. Hello everyone, can you hear me? Hello everyone, again good evening. Okay, fine. So let's get started without any further delay. Okay, so this is our second day workshop about the object oriented programming under the Apex. Okay, so we will learn these all things all in upcoming session as well, like polymorphism, encapsulation, inheritance, abstractions, these all things, right? For now, let me show you the today I'm going to show you only constructor things, right? So why we are using constructor and how many types of constructor and where we can use this constructor in our programming, right? So let's get started again, and let me open here. You can see this is the constructor slide here. Okay, so under this slide we have lots of points. Okay, so we have lots of points related, like constructor. It's like constructor is a special type of methods, right? So it's a special type of methods and present under the class. So try to understand the class first of all. I will show you the class in upcoming session, how to create that and how many access specifier we have under the class. So try to understand right now, and with the help of this class we can create our constructor, right? So it's a special type of methods present under the class responsible for initialize the variable of the that class. So this is the way to initialize your variable under our that is called class. Okay, so you can initialize your variable with the help of constructor. Okay, so constructor basically to initialize the variable. Okay, or it is a special type of members under the class. So it's a special type of members. The name of the constructor should be same name as a class name, always remember, right? So constructor name should be same as we already discussed, like naming conventions, but I will show you in upcoming session how to write our like naming convention under the Apex. Okay, and no value returning type of the method. So constructor never return any value. Okay, keep in your mind, this is the very most important points, that's why. So here you can see, like no value return type of the method. Each and every class required this constructor. So by default one constructor is available under the class. Okay, by default. Okay, so here you can see like this point, each and every class required this constructor. So by default one constructor is automatically having internally initialize that variable. If you already define some variable, let's say a string and like integer name or something like that, based on your variable or based on your data type. Okay, so you can provide this one. Okay, so first of all this is the only for like Salesforce, not like Java. So you can learn these all things under the Java as well. So no need worry about like oops concise is a separate for the like Apex. So it's a common for all languages, so don't worry about that. So you can learn from here as well, and you can learn from any resources as you have. So for now I'm going to discuss about deep dive about this object oriented programming under the Apex, so don't worry about that. Okay, so here like each and every class required this constructor, implicit defined constructor, that is called default constructor. Okay, so if you don't define anything under your class, so it's a default constructor it have. Okay, so our parameterless constructor. So default constructor always a parameterless constructor, always remember, right? Then we have implicit defined constructor as are a public. So implicit defined constructor are public. Without public we cannot accessible all the related things regarding this constructor, so it must be public. So without public we cannot access this implicit constructor, right? So here this is the definition about and some key points about the constructor. Okay, so here these all points very most important. If you are learning any programming language, so you can learn like this constructor, about this constructor, right? So here we have another things about the constructor, that is called an example. Here let's say I have one class that is called demo class. So under this class we have some integer value that is called integer I, and by default you can see here, if you don't initialize anything value under the Apex variables or Apex data members, so Apex engine, Apex runtime engine is a automatic initialize null value on that particular variable. Okay, so here you can see this one, right? So now we have one variable that is called integer I, and by default is a null. Okay, so if you initialize anything related this class, that is called instance initialization. So instance initialization basically work like demo, like under this one you can see here like demo d1 equal to new demo. Okay, so if you want to initialize any variable or any instances of this class, so you can initialize the instance with the help of new keyword, because we already discussed about new keyword and all the things, right? So here you can see d1 equal to new demo, and implicit constructor or default constructor are called by default automatically. So how to define that, I will show you here with practically. So here let me open my notepad. Okay, so once you open the notepad you can write your program here as well, right? But let me show you how to create the class and all the things here. Okay, so you can create your class with the help of like this one, like public. First of all, don't worry about this access specifier or modifier, I will show you in upcoming session. Okay, so public, then after that you have to write your class keyword. It's a predefined keyword under here, right? So public class, then class name, so you can give your class name here. So let's say demo, so this is the class name. After that you have to write your class body. So if you write your class body here, right, this one, this is the class body. Here I am writing like write your variables here. Okay, so variables is nothing but data member. Okay, so variable is nothing but it's a data member under this class. So you can define your data member here. Let's say like string name. So if you define something like that under your class, so Apex engine, Apex runtime engine is automatic initialize default value under init. Let's say name equal to null, because if you don't define anything, like if you don't initialize anything value regarding my that is called variable, so by default under the Apex engine automatic initialize null value on that particular variable, right? So here let's say we have that is called string name here, right? So how to initialize this one? So by default one constructor is automatically come to the picture, that is called default constructor. Okay, and default constructor signature should be like this. I will show you here. Let's say like default constructor. I will show you what is default constructor and how many types of constructor we have. Like default constructor, so constructor name should be class name, right? Like public, then it doesn't return anything, so demo, public demo, and after that you have to define this constructor like this, and here it's a automatic initialize that value, that is called name equal to null by default. So here you can see like it's a default constructor, and this default constructor automatic initialize this value internally. This picture is automatic showing under the memory locations. Okay, that's why you can see the null value automatic comes our program. So with practical I will prove that how to initialize this null value and how to find out that. Okay, so implicit constructor automatic initialize that value, that is called variable name, and name value is null right now. Why? Because it's a implicit or default constructor automatic call once you initialize this class instance, right? Then after that the default value of that particular variable is say like a null. You can see in the our example here, and with practical I will show you. Okay, so here let me open my org, and I already opened. Let me check here, here, and here. Okay, so let me log in particular org. Okay, so here let me check this one here and enter the password. Okay, once you enter the password, let me click on the login button. Okay, so once you click this login button, and once you click this login button, once you initialize this one, now you can see I successfully logged in here, right? So after that we will see one by one with practical exam under the constructor, or we can say that object oriented programming, right? So I will show you here, and here I just logged in, so it takes some time. Okay, so don't worry about that. So here I just open my org, and it will be taking some time. Don't worry. Let me reload this side. Okay, once you reload, you have to open your developer console first. Let me check my internet connection is open. Fine. So it's taking some time because based on your internet bandwidth, so it's based on your internet, so that's why it's taking some time. Or let me open another org. Okay, so here let's say again you have to refresh this one, and it will be taking some time. I don't know, but for time being, let me show you here, right? So in this my notepad, you can see notepad here, right? So under this notepad we have already defined like one constructor by default internally, right? So here you can see like default constructor, right? So we have lots of constructor under the Salesforce or any technology like parameterless or parameterized constructor, and after that you will be see like constructor overloading. Okay, how to define multiple constructor with same name, okay, and different parameter, that is called types of parameters here. Okay, so based on your need, so you can take this one, right? So here in my notepad we have this that is called this public class demo, something like that. It's a class. Under this class we have already defined one that is called variable. So under this variable, right, so have one default value. By default is automatic initialized by the default constructor, right? So here let me show you with my slide, and then we will move into the our main point. So here you can see defining and calling. So always remember, under the Salesforce or maybe any technology as you are using or you have already knowledge about that, .NET developer or Java developer, PHP, something like that. So we have two things, right, like defining and calling. So defining, here you can see we can define the implicit or explicitly. Okay, defining and calling both are two different things, right? So under these two different things we can calling, and we can separate these all two term, right? So like class demo, under this class demo we have public demo constructor, and once you initialize this one, that is called system.debug. Okay, and like explicitly constructor called here, right? So under here that is called explicitly constructor called, and we have like defining explicitly or implicitly. Always remember, defining always comes under explicitly as well implicitly, and calling always explicitly. Always remember. So these 2 points very important for us, right? So defining and calling. So here calling is nothing but is explicitly called. Okay, so if you want to call any method or if you want to call any Apex class, so you can call with the help of instance name or any method name based on your need, so you can make it this one, right? So calling always explicitly. Defining, we can define like implicit or explicitly. Okay, that is the meaning of that things. So here, like we have types of constructor. So we have this one that is called 3 types of constructor right now under the Apex, and we have like default or parameterless constructor. Okay, so default nothing but it's by default provided by the Salesforce engine, that is called Apex engine, right? So it's always a parameterless constructor, right? So here, and second point is a parameterized constructor. So this is the second constructor, that is called parameterized constructor. Then last one is a copy constructor. So we will see one by one in this session how to work on the parameterless as well parameterized. Okay, so one by one we will discuss here, right? So here you can see like copy constructor as well. So we will see one by one like what is implicit or explicit. Okay, so implicit nothing but if you don't define anything, like let's say like a string like name, and it's a automatic initialize some value like null. You know very well, if you don't define anything in particular variable, so Apex engine automatic initialize default value, that is called null. So that is called implicit. So it's a implicit based on your Apex engine. So Apex engine is a responsible to initialize that variable in internally purpose. So that's why we can call implicit. So explicit is nothing but explicitly called by the developer. You and me, we can call the any class or any method, that is called explicitly. So with practical we will see these all things like what is explicitly and implicitly. So try to understand right now what is implicit or explicit, right? So here now you can see like type of constructor. So first of all, let me show you the type of constructor here, that is called default or parameterless constructor. Then second one is the parameterized constructor and copy constructor, right? So we have this kind of constructor in session, right? So let me check here. So it's open right now, and just click this gear icon and click on debug console. After that you can see this open me this developer console, and after that you have to write one class, okay, one Apex class. So how to write the Apex class? So you can write with the help of file menu. Under this file menu you will be see like as a new keyword or new button, and just you have to click on this new, right? So here let me show you this one here. Now you can see it's loading configuration here, it's loading this over, and after that you can see this log anonymous. So let me click on the OK, and here you can see like file. So under the file you can see like new and Apex class, right? I will show you what is the class and all the things, so don't worry about that. So here just you have to click on this Apex class, right? So under this Apex class, you have to write your class name, like let's say constructor demo, something like that, constructor demo. So just click on the OK button, and once you click this OK button, so it's creating me one class that is called constructor demo. Okay, so if you have some like already class defined, so you can use that one, but in this session let me show you with new class as well. So here in this public class constructor demo, right? So constructor demo, after that you have to define something, what, like data member functions, right? So data member and member function, what is this? I will show you in upcoming session. So first of all let me show you this one, that is called data members. Okay, like members. So what is data member? Like variables and all the things. So related this one, that is called constant variable, comes under the data members. Okay, and under here let's say I want to define something that is called string name. So this is our data member under this class. So under this class we have to define this data type, that is called string, and one variable that is called name. Okay, so how to print this name? So you can print with the help of like system.debug, right? But you cannot use directly this system like system.debug here, and if you try like system.debug and if you want to print like name, and once you try this save, so it causing some error. So you will be see some error here after some time. Okay, so you cannot use directly anything regarding this one. Okay, so if you have some variable, and you can see here that is I already defined like name variable, but still it's showing me like saving, and after that you will be see some like error is coming or not. So based on your like program, so it's allowed to me and you as well, right? So here you can see some error. Now is the error is, let me save this again, let me save, and I will show you the error. What is the error? Okay, so here you can see three errors. Why? Because we cannot use directly the name directly here. Why? Because it's a data member, and data member always comes under the class. That is right. Here you can see this is the data member, but you cannot directly print this one under the class. So if you want to print something under the class, so always use like methods, that is called member functions. So we can use member functions here. So how to do that? Just here, let me show you here. Just remove this system.debug, and after that, once you remove this system.debug, you have to write your data member, that is called that member functions, that is called here like members functions, like member functions, right? So member function is nothing but it's a method like public void and let's say display. Under this method you have to use this variable, and you can use this one, let's say system.debug. Under this debug you can select name. So if you want to use this one, so you can use, right? So under the class, so you can use directly this one with the help of methods. So method can be a part of this class, because method always be a part of the class, that is called member functions, right? So here let me show you how to use that, that is called name and all the things. So for now by default the name value is null, you know very well, because it's a behavior of the Apex class or Apex runtime engine. It's a automatic initialize that value, right? So how to prove that? So once you created your class, so how to call that this class? So you can call with the help of different types of mechanism under the Apex. So for now in this session I will show you with the help of Anonymous window. So just click this debug, open the Anonymous window, just remove all the things from here to here, and now try to execute this class under the Anonymous window. So how to call this Apex class? So here just copy this class and paste it here and click on this dot operator, and you can call this method, right? So directly you cannot call this method. Okay, I will show you what is the static and non-static, because it's a non-static. So non-static always call with the help of instance. So it's a like con equal to new, then this one that is called constructor demo, right? So you have to initialize that instance of that class. So how to call that method? That is called display. So let's say like con dot then display, and then you can call your method. So this is the way to call your method, right? And how to execute? So here you can see three buttons under the bottom. One is open log and execute highlighted, right? So here now you can see like open log, execute highlighted. I will show you the meaning of this one. So once you click this open log, so it's open me this tab by default, that is called logs, right? And here you can see like execute. So execute, always execute your code under this window. If you have some selected code, let's say I want to execute this line of code, that is called second. So you can select that line and you can click on this execute highlighted. That is the meaning of like in these all buttons here, right? So here just let me execute this this class with the help of this execute button. So once you click this execute, so after some time it will execute and it will open me that particular logs here. Just click this logs, and now you can see it's automatic open the logs. Just click this debug only and you can see like null. So here you can see this is the null value by default. So this is the behavior of the Apex engine. So it's the automatic initialize default value like null in each and every like data members, not particular this string. So you can choose this one, right? So here this is all about like null values, right? Now it's time to do like constructor. So how to define constructor? Let me remove this method first of all, and here internally, so internally you can see the picture here. Internally picture here. So internally one constructor is a automatic initialize, that is called implicit constructor, and implicit constructor name, this one is a automatic having in memory, and after that you can see like name. So it's a automatic initialize this name value, let's say name equal to null, like that. So you can see the default value as a null in every time if you define like this value. So internally this process is going on. Okay, always remember, and this is a very most important here. Okay, so here that is called public constructor demo. So name equal to null, so it's a always null value because implicit constructor come to the picture here, right? Now it's time to do what, like let me show you the constructor. So we have some implicit constructor and we have some explicitly constructor. So internally implicitly constructor initialize this variable that is called name, and name value is null. That is the meaning of this one, right? So here let me show you the types of constructors. So parameterless. So let me remove this one and let me remove this variable as well. And here types of constructor, like types of constructor here. Okay, so we have like three types of constructor. First is parameterless, and second is parameterized, and third in copy constructor, like copy constructor. So copy constructor you can see here, like copy constructor. Now it's time to do what, like parameterless. So how to define parameterless constructor? So you can define parameterless constructor, let's say parameterless constructor. Okay, let me copy this one for the time being here, and now let me define. So if you define any constructor, so constructor names must be the same as a class name. Always remember, this is the hardcore rule, or we can say that this is the rule under the object oriented programming. If you define any constructor, so you can use the class name under the constructor name. Okay, so here like public or always remember, it's never written any value. That's why I'm not using any like void or any written type of the like string, integer, list of account, something like that. So I'm not using here because it's never written any value. That's why. So here like public, then after that you have to write your class name here. So just copy this class name and paste it, simple. And after that you can see this is the method parenthesis, right? So it's a special kind of member of the class that is called constructor, and it's a special type of that is called methods under the class. So after that you have to give this body of this constructor, and let me show you here, that is called system.debug, and after that you have to write like parameterless, or just copy this parameterless from here to here, parameterless constructor called, something like that. Okay, so here you can see parameterless constructor. Let me save this and we will see here, let's say this one, and now you can see save, my class is successfully saved. And how to execute this class you know very well, right? So here let me show you how to execute this one. Same thing you can use once you create the instance of that class, that is called constructor demo, right? So it's a automatic initialize or automatic call. It's a internal constructor that is called this one. Let me show you here, just focus. Once you initialize here to here, you can see like this is the class name. Just focus, this is the class name, means cn. Just focus this one. This is the variable name. Okay, variable, and this is new keyword. It's a special type keyword, right? And please focus this part here to here, just focus. Okay, and this right part, that is called constructor. So it's a explicitly constructor, just focus, explicitly constructor. So once you initialize this class instance, that explicitly constructor, this one is a automatic initialize, or we can say the automatic call. It's implicit constructor of this class. And if the implicit constructor checking, if any constructor defined explicitly, well and good, otherwise I can use implicitly. That is the meaning of this line here. Just focus on that. This is the very most important, right? So I hope you got the answer right. Okay, so here this one. So once you initialize this one, that is called new constructor demo. So it's a, this explicitly constructor called its implicit constructor class. That implicit constructor class check if any constructor is defined explicitly or not. So you can, in my case, you can see this is the explicitly constructor. So this time my implicitly constructor call this constructor that is called explicitly constructor, and now you can see my output that is called parameterless constructor called. How to execute? Let me execute with the help of this button, and let's see here, right? So once you click this one that is called explicitly, just click on this debug, and here you can see the parameterless constructor called. Just focus on that. That is called this one, parameterless constructor, right? So this is parameterless. Now it's time to do what here, and always remember, once you create this one, so that constructor that is called explicitly constructor call is its implicit constructor. So implicit constructor you cannot see because it's a programming approach. So you cannot see the implicit constructor, but you can see the explicitly constructor. Always remember, right? That is the meaning of this line. So here now in constructor demo, right? So once you execute, you will be see this output we already discussed, right? Now it's time to do what, like parameterized constructor. So how to define this parameterized constructor? So just copy this one here, and let me comment here like this one, parameter constructor, right? Constructor here. Okay, fine. So here this is a parameterized constructor. So under this parameterized constructor, okay, so how to define this parameterized constructor? So same thing, you can use class name like public, and you can use this one that is called constructor demo here, and after that you have to do what, like let's say any parameter as you want, let's say integer, okay, and integer let's say is, and let's say another thing that is called string name. Okay, so here how to use this one? So we can use directly like system.debug, let's say like my name is colon then plus and name. You can use directly here because it's a local variable. Okay, so if you don't know like local variable, global variable, right? So you can learn like my Apex tutorials in my channel, so you will be get this answer. Okay, so after that like system dot debug, and after that like my is colon then plus, and give your variable name here. So this is the way to print your value from the constructor as well here, right? And how to call this constructor? So you can call with the help of constructor. So that is called constructor overloading. I will show you. The constructor overloading means multiple constructor having same name but different parameters. So you can see like no parameter, and it's having some parameter that is called one or two parameter. Here you can see like two parameter. Okay, so based on your need, so you can do that. So I will show you the constructor loading in this example as well, another example here. So here just how to execute this one again, just open the anonymous window, and after that you have to create another instance. Why? Because this constructor automatic call this constructor, this is equal to parameters here, right? And after that you have to write this one that is called constructor demo, and here constructor demo like con1 equals to new constructor demo, and after that you have to pass two parameter. Let's say one is an integer, let's say 27, and another is a name. So you can see and you can observe here we have two parameters here that is called in this constructor. Just focus, like this constructor we can match with our constructor. Here you can see, and we have two parameter that is called age and string name, and these two parameter we have this value that is here to here, we have this all value, right? And this constructor is a automatic call this constructor, that is the equal to value here. Just focus on that, right? And after that here like just click this one here, and you can execute this one. So how to execute? Now here just click on this execute button, and after that here click on this debug only, and now you can see my whole output here, right? My whole output here, that is called parameterless constructor. My name is name and my age is 27. So you can change this name as well, because it's a name. You can change any name, because I already given some name by mistake, so don't worry, it's a name. Like here you can see, just click this execute again, and now again you have to do what? Here just click this one, debug only, click on this one, right? And now finally you can see my output here, parameterless constructor. My name is Rohit, and my name like my age is 27. Here you can see this is all output here, right? So now it's time to do what? So here you can see this one, right? So let me show you another things. Let's say constructor overloading. So how to define that? Let me show you here. Okay, just focus. Okay, just focus. And now here click this one, and now it's time to do constructor overloading. So this is the parameter, one parameter, right? So let me remove this one, and system.debug. After that, let's say one parameters, like that. After that you have to do like public. Again you have to define another constructor, right? So what? Just copy this one and paste it here. Again you have to do like what? Like integer, and let's say another age, right? And after that, because it's a local variable, so we can use local variable under particular methods. So it's a local, not global. If you define some global, so we have some ambiguity error, because it's a duplicate, right? So just integer is, then string, and then name, right? So we have two parameters here. Let's say system.debug, and after that you can select two parameter. Let's say two parameters, right? After that you have to define like public. Again this one constructor demo, and this time we have to define more than two parameters. That's why constructor overloading comes into the picture. Okay, so here let me do that one thing, like public constructor, and let's say integer. Again integer is comma name, sorry, string, then name, and after that you have to define some boolean as well, like boolean is activate, like is activate. Okay, so here we have this one, right? Now it's time to do like what? Like system.debug, like three parameters, like that. So we have constructor overloading. So constructor overloading, nothing but it's a like same constructor having multiple name, multiple like body. You can see like same constructor name having multiple body. You can see same constructor name, right? And we have passed different parameters. That is called constructor overloading. So here you can see no parameter, one parameter, two parameter, and three parameter here. So this is called constructor overloading. Means multiple constructor having same name and different parameter. That is called constructor overloading, right? So here how to execute this one? So same thing here under this anonymous window, you have to pass what? First of all, I want to define only one parameter here. Again just copy this one, okay, and paste it. This time to pass like two parameter here. Let's say this time like Amit, something like that. And again you have to paste it, and this time I want to find out three parameters under init. Just focus on that, like true, right here. So this is all about like constructor overloading, right? So how to execute? So you can execute with the help of this button, that is called execute. So just click this execute, and it's showing like duplicate. Okay, fine. Just change this one, that is called cont2 and cont3. Okay, after that just click on the execute button, and it's saying like constructor not defined because of I forget to save this class. Here you can see like some star, right? So just save this class first of all, otherwise you will be get this error. So just save this class, and once you save this class, so you can see this successfully saved here. And let me execute this class. So once you execute this class, okay, so here let me execute this one, and finally you can see under debug log, you can select parameter controller called one parameter, two parameters, three parameters, right? So we have this kind of constructor overloading, right? So if you don't know this parameterless constructor and all the things, so you can watch this video again and again and you can easily understand, right? So here this is the no parameter, 1 parameter, 2 parameter and 3 parameter. Let me zoom in and you can see all the values here. No parameter, 1 parameter, 2 parameter, 3 parameter. So based on our supply inputs we can get this answer. That is called constructor overloading here, right? So here we have lots of things. Okay, so like this is the our constructor part, right? Like we already discussed about like parameterless, parameterized constructor. Now it's time to do like copy constructor. So let me define this copy constructor here. Let's say copy constructor, right? So here just let me comment out here, that is called copy constructor demo here. Okay, so after that here copy constructor, under this copy constructor you have to define what. Let me open my slide and you can see this one here. So you can see this is the default. We already discussed about default parameterless constructor. If a constructor method does not take any parameter, then we can call that is a default constructor or parameterless constructor. So here you can see like public class demo. Under this demo class we have this one, that is called public demo here, right? So public demo is a constructor and it's a implicit constructor or default constructor if you will not define any constructor. Here you can see, so you can easily understand with the help of this one, right? Now it's time to do what. You can see like parameter constructor. So what is parameter constructor? So you can see like if a constructor method is defined with parameter, because we have some parameter, right? Like integer, and let's say you can define another parameter. We already discussed with practical part, right? So it's time to do like this one. So here you can see like is defined with parameter called that is the meaning here. So that is parameter constructor. Those constructor can be defined by the developer. Okay, so we can define by the developer. And here that is called public class demo. Under public class demo you can see my constructor name, that is called demo, and it's having one parameter, that is called integer, right? So here we can print this one as well, like this one. So that is called explicitly constructor. So this is highlighted area, that is called explicitly constructor. Okay, if you don't define anything, so you can see implicit. Otherwise you can, if you already define something like constructor, so you can see this is the explicitly. You can see this arrow as well, right? So this is the explicitly constructor. Okay, now it's time to do like copy constructor. So what is the copy constructor here? So if we want to create multiple instance with same value, then we will use the copy constructor. Okay, so with the help of like multiple instance, and we want to find out or we want to pass only same value again and again. So how to do that? So here you can see like copy constructor example. So under init you can see these all things, right? So how to do that? So let me open my constructor here, that is called this one. Now it's time to do what? So con demo, here you can see this one, like copy constructor demo, and here you, if you have some variable, so you can use that variable. And let me define one variable here in the top. That is the best practice. If you have some variable, so always define your variable in the top of the class here, right? So let's say like integer I, something like that, I. So by default this value is a null, you know very well. So Apex Engine automatic initialize null value by default any variable here, right? So here let me do that one thing for you. Let's say copy constructor. After copy constructor you can see here that is called same thing like copy constructor and copy constructor. This is a class name and constructor name. So how to do that? So same thing, like let's say public, and then you can use this constructor name, that is a constructor demo. Just paste it out here, and let's say like integer x, something like that. And if you want to initialize of the class variable, so you can initialize with the help of constructor. So how to initialize that? Like this dot. So this is current class reference. So what is the current class reference? Under this class we have like I means integer type of we can say that variable. So here like this dot I equals to x. So you can initialize like this. If you pass some value under this constructor, so it's automatic comes from here to here, and that is initialized into the I value and assign the I value here, right? That is the meaning of this line. So after that, here let me show you here what is like this one. This is our copy constructor like this one, After that you can select copy constructor C1 again and again. You can see same thing you can apply here, right? So how to do that? Like define the copy constructor. So how to define the copy constructor? Same thing, like this is the like parameterized constructor, right? Like define the constructor. So we already define here, like define the constructor, right? Now define copy constructor here, copy constructor. So how to use that? So again you have to use like public, then like this constructor demo. After that you have to pass your class name. So what is the my class name? Like constructor demo, right? Under this one, in the case of copy constructor. After that you can see like something like cc, something like this one, cc, and here we have to do use like this one, this dot I and co dot I, something like that. So if you initialize this variable that is called I already defined here, and I want to use under this copy constructor like this dot I equals to cc dot I. So you can use this one because I need multiple instance with same value, right? That is called copy constructor. So let me save this and let's see the value of this I. Okay, so how to use this value and how to print? So here's some error is coming, right? Like method already defined void demo integer, something like that, because we have this one. Okay, so now here let me show you, just let me remove this all things, or let me comment out here, that's this multiple line comments. Okay, and after that you can use here this copy here. Okay, and just let me save this. So this time you will not get any error, I hope. Yeah, so here you can see my program is successfully saved. Now how to print this I value? So you can use methods, data members. So how to use that? So same thing you can apply, like here let's say public. Okay, let's say public, under this public here public void and display method. I want to display here something. So how to print that? Like system dot debug, and under this one you have to use that I value here. So here the value of I goes to something like that plus I, like that. Just save it and let's see it's working or not. You can check this like that. Okay, so here now we will see here all the class is successfully saved. Here you can see like saving, yeah, saved. And now it's time to use this one. So how to use copy constructor? Now you can see, right? So what is the meaning of copy constructor? If you have multiple instance and if you want to initialize same value in particular instance, like multiple instance, so you can use this copy constructor, otherwise you will not get all the benefits from this class, right? So here let's say let me create this one here. Let's say this c1 equals to new instance here of this class, and here I want to pass some value, that is 100, right? And based on this 100 let me call this method c1 dot display method, right? And after that let me execute this one. So once you execute here, right, once you execute here, so you will be see here. Okay, so now here, now just click on debug only, and now you can see like the value of I equals to 100 something, right? Same thing you can create multiple instance for this class. Let's say again let me copy this line and just paste it under here, and now it's time to print this 200 and c2, and just use this c2 dot display method. And now you can see this different types of value again and again. Let me print like 100 and 200, you will be see, but my intention is how to print the same value again and again. So you can print with the help of that is called copy constructor. So now you can see like 100 and 100, right? Now it's time to do what, like how to provide like same value again and again. So just remove this value and you can pass this instance here, right? In my slide you can also see here like con1 and con2, right? So just pass this instance, that is c1, into the another constructor like c1 here, this constructor. Now let me execute and let's see here, right? So just execute here and click on this debug only, right? just click this debug only. Now you can see the same memory location, like 100, 200, something like. So you can see like 100 in the first value, second you can see like 100. So that is the meaning of this copy constructor, like multiple instance. What is the multiple instance? So you can see like C1 and C2 is the multiple instance of that class. So you can initialize same value in multiple instance. That is the meaning of copy constructor. So I think guys you got the answer, all the things, right? So tomorrow onwards we will learn all the pillars like encapsulation, inheritance, polymorphisms, abstractions, right? So this is the basic knowledge about the constructor. That's why I already showing these things, right? So